What's up, y'all?
What's going on?
Welcome back to our channel
That's right.
for another episode of Kicking It with the Smiths.
Here we are again.
Here we are. But you know what? Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you can get updates on our new videos and come along for the journey.
Yep. Do the things, like the stuff, share it with somebody. Let us know. Leave something in the comments. We are always looking to engage with you all. So we appreciate all the feedback and all the engagement. So, do the things. Yep.
He's real good about reminding y'all to comment. I appreciate him for that. He always fill in the gap. So, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about the second S word. Last week, we brought up safety, security, submission, and surprisingly, we only talked about safety because it got so good. That's just how far we made it. So we'll put the link to that video at the end of this one for you guys to check it out. And now we're gonna start talking about this security and how important security is in your marriage, in your relationships. It's a vital part.
Absolutely.
But before I start talking about it, let me just give a shout out to this guy. Like, he did so awesome at church on Sunday. I ain't gonna call him out for what he did, but if you know, you know. He did a really good job. I was very proud of him. I was a very proud wife, and yeah, he did his thing. So that's all I wanted to say. Now let's talk about security.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, let's talk about this second S word. Security.
Okay.
So security. I never really thought about security in my relationship until I heard someone say that they married someone for security. And in my mind, I'm like, that's all you married them for? Like, you don't like them? You don't love them? You weren't in love with them when you married them? You married them for security? So what does that mean? What do you mean you married that person for security? And of course, I didn't ask them that, but those were the thoughts that came in my mind.
It's a big deal. People married for security have been married for security for a long time.
I get that, but I was somebody that married because I was in love with this young man right here. Still am. After all these years, he still does it for me. And I pray that he continues to do it for me for a long time. But back to security. So the person was like, yeah, I married for security. And I was like, in my mind, thinking, okay, what does that mean? Because I know what security means, right? I know what it means, but what do you mean that that's what you married them for? So I did some digging and some research trying to figure out what that meant. And it was like people marry because basically they need, like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. They need somebody that can basically carry the weight. Like, I'm marrying you to make sure that I'm going to be good no matter what. And I'm like, is that really the end all be all? Because our marriage has been a partnership. So, like, I never looked at marrying somebody to make sure that I'm going to be good no matter what because of you. Now, security means a lot of other things too. You know, we gonna dive into that. But this person's main reason for marrying their spouse at the time was because they wanted to make sure that they was gonna be taken care of financially for the duration of their marriage because they was looking for financial security.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that ain't it. Security come with a whole lot of other stuff. It's financial, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's physical. So you can't just hone in on that one aspect of security in your relationship. You got to look at it in its entirety.
Well, it depends on what you were taught. It depends on your past experience. Depends on like your trauma, So people that have trauma in certain areas will be looking for security in certain areas. People that were taught certain things will be looking for looking for that in a marriage relationship. So if you were abused or saw abuse, you'll be looking definitely for some safety and security. Physically would be like paramount. If you didn't have any money and you would come from a poor or kind of a situation that you didn't have a lot of resources, financial security is big. And if you were taught that, right? Because we know that there's some people that in the teaching intentionally and unintentionally their children to look for those things, to value those things. But it's nothing new. I mean, it's been happening since thousands of years, ranging marriages for political security, for financial security, for so women, marrying men because of the resources that they have, not because of love, but because they had resources that could take care of them and their children. That was why we got married, or their goal or their aim. I knew people in college. I met some women in college that they were there to find a husband, to find someone that would be able to take care and provide for their family. And it's not wrong that you want your husband, you're looking to your husband to be the provider and the leader of your home. But that's what some people were just really there for. Like, I'm majoring in this, but I'm really looking for somebody that has enough money to take care of me.
Take care of me.
Financially, to make sure that I'm taken care of, which is a real thing.
It's real, but I think for me, it's just hearing someone say it like, that's what you married him for? Like, okay. Because I mean, and I think that security can also be, are you going to be secure enough to love me the way I need to be loved, right? Like, I'm marrying you for the security, knowing that you're going to love me for me. Like, I'm secure in the fact that you're going to love me for me wholeheartedly, undoubtedly. Like, I'm secure in that, right? But I just never looked at it like, because I guess as a woman, I never looked at it like I'm looking for a man to take care of me. I'm looking for a man that's going to be my friend, that's going to be my partner, that's going to walk with me side by side. And I guess that is a level of security. But just to hear somebody say that I married you for security, like financial security was the basis of why I'm marrying you, and I'm just like, that ain't it. That's not it. You can't. But I get it. People do it all the time. But for me, it wasn't it.
So it depends on your view. It depends on what you've learned, what you've been taught, your view on life and relationships. I mean, people engage in different types of relationships because of security. We talk about having job security, right? So, which is good, but then we're also like things. Sometimes in life we do things or take on things just because we know there's a level of security, a level of comfort there, even though it may or may not be beneficial or as advantageous for us as something else. We do it because it's secure, like it's safe and there's security there. Like, I know that I'm gonna have that. I know relationships that we've had in the past as people, us individually, but everybody, that you've had a relationship that I know I can go back to them, right? The person you keep dating, like I know I can go back to them. Or I know we can get together because it's secure. It may not be good, but we know that we can just keep this thing going. I can go back. Level of security, but not necessarily what's best
right
for us, but it's secure. It's goes back to safe, you know.
And I like how safety and security go hand to hand. Like they go hand to hand. Like I gotta feel safe around you to even open up to feel like I'm in a secure spot with you. So they go hand in hand. And I honestly don't feel like you're gonna have one without the other at some point in your relationship, like they're tied in together.
Well, yeah, if you don't feel safe, then you're not secure. You're not secure in security in a relationship goes to as well as how the state of the relationship. Like if I'm not secure in this relationship, then I don't trust the relationship. I don't trust how this is working out. I don't trust you in it.
We should have added in a T word.
Or me in it. Because security also goes to, am I secure in myself in this relationship? So, yeah, if I don't feel safe or secure in this relationship in any aspect of a friendship or our marriage, or even kids with their parents, like then you're like, I'm not trusting in that.
Exactly.
No. Because that's one thing we say. Like, do you trust? Like you tell like, do you trust mommy and daddy? Do you know this or that? You feel safe, and that's why they feel a level of safety, security. So it changes the dynamic of relationship.
It does.
Which is kind of how we start talking about this. I think we talk about relationships is, I think
those kids,
the kids, but even before that, in talking to people in their marriages and their relationships, when they say something like, well, I didn't feel safe, or they get to a conclusion of not feeling safe or secure, to me, that's like a big red flag in terms of once you come to that sort of statement that you realize and then say, yeah, you now have a big problem.
Yes.
And you've had a big problem, but now that you verbalize it, it's a serious matter that now takes some serious work.
Yep. Hard work. Serious work to overcome. And I think the biggest way to overcome that, like one of the biggest things in a relationship is communication. Like you can't get to safety, security, and submission without communication.
Mm-hmm.
Like my husband over communicates, and it's not a bad thing. I'm appreciative.
No, she's not all the time. She don't like it. She don't like all the time. She's telling y'all that she do not like all the time. She said I get on her nerves.
I said I'm appreciative. I didn't say whether or not I liked it. I said that I'm appreciative.
But that's a good distinction. That's a good.
I said I'm appreciative.
But that's a mature distinction.
Yeah, and I don't take it for granted. Do I always like it? No, because sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel like he thinks that I didn't hear him, and I heard you. And so one thing that is similar with me and my husband is that when we hear you and we got it, we like, okay, I got it. And when you keep talking and we say, okay, I got it, I'm telling the secret. I'm going to get in trouble for telling this secret.
You already done told it now. So it's out there now. It's okay.
I'm going to have to edit that out. We're going to edit that out.
No, it's in there now. Like we let the people know.
But seriously, like if we say we got it 99.9% of the time, okay, 98% of the time we got it, and we being real.
Yeah.
And we're still learning that with each other, because sometimes he'll be like, did you hear me? And I'm like, yeah, I heard you. I got it. And then 5 seconds later, I'll be like, wait, what'd you say?
Which is why when we goes into communication, we started to deploy and implement. And I did was like, okay, so what did you hear me say? And I say to her, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? Because I want to make sure, and I will say this, that I understood you correctly, or that you understood what I meant. Because also with body language, I would say something. She's like, yeah, I got it. I'm like,
you wasn't even listening to me, girl.
You weren't paying attention to what I said, because I just told you that I burn up this food, and you was like, yeah, it's cool. And I'm like, okay, not that I want a reaction, but I'm thinking that there's gonna be something more to be said. So I'm not looking to nag, but I'm looking for understanding.
Definitely.
That's what I'm seeking is, do we have understanding about what each other means?
So we kind of veered off, but
that plays into security.
It all plays into security. That's what I was going to say. I was going to come back and say we veered off into communication, but communication definitely plays into feeling secure in your relationship. Go ahead, boo.
No, I'm just saying our relationship.
I'm gonna take a sip of my punch.
Oh yeah. It's talking about punch. It's kombucha, y'all.
Kombucha and lemonade.
It sure is. If y'all, the kombucha is like is this?
It's a probiotic drink.
It is
probiotics and enzymes
and all the goods,
all that good stuff for your body, and that's what I got in my cup with some lemonade.
It sure is.
I just got done eating dinner, so
yep, we drink it over here. But the security in your relationship makes communicating difficult things easier, and we say that from experience because we've had to navigate, and we shared some of it in our previous videos about things we've navigated in our marriage, and the infertility journey and whatnot. But it makes
and I was gonna say, one of the things that assisted us in overcoming some of the issues in the infertility journey and the miscarriage was the fact that we had to be secure in our relationship with each other.
Absolutely.
It was difficult because sister went through a whole season of depression.
Yeah.
But because my husband was becoming or had become emotionally secure in our relationship, he was able to see it and able to get me the help that I needed. And I appreciated that more than he probably would ever know, because it was like, he was like, nah, listen, we ain't living like this. Let's go.
I did say that, though. I did. I mean, I guess I said it like that, but I did say, and we shared that video, that we were sitting there it was one night, one evening, and I just was kind of like, okay, enough is enough, in terms of not at her, but just at the situation and the depression that was in our home, and just the spiritual atmosphere had shifted, and being sensitive to that, going, okay, this is we're gonna deal with this elephant. We're gonna deal with this depression. We're gonna deal with this difficulty and this spiritual attack or this spiritual unease we have, and we're gonna deal with this and get this resolved. And
but he was secure enough in his spiritual relationship, in our marriage, to be able to do that. And if there weren't a level of security in our relationship and in his relationship with God, we might still be dealing with it 6 years later.
Because the one person I tell all my stuff to, I tell it to God, I tell it to Jesus, I tell all my stuff to it, and then I tell my wife, and sometimes I do, not sometimes, a lot, I process in prayer and say like, okay, and then I tell her, but we're secure enough now that we've shared all myriad of things that we've gone through and dealt with, and there's a level of security there. I'm saying there's a level, there's security there, and there's a level of comfort there to be able, like, in ease, to, all right, and this is going to be difficult to say, but let me share this, and knowing that the other person is vested in your relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that we talked about safety last week, but those relationships are relationships that I hone in on in terms of in those times, because I have relationships that I know have a level of security because they're vested. That person's vested in the safety, security of relationship, vested in the well-being of each other. It's easy to have hard conversations, and that's something that I talked about this weekend. I gave an example of, not that we don't have disagreements, but knowing that when I'm dealing with certain people and people that have close proximity in my life, the disagreements aren't the same, because I'm thinking the best about that person, and I know that this is a disagreement, and it's not that they're trying to harm me intentionally or unintentionally. If they do, like, hey, let's just resolve this.
Right. And I was going to say, there have been areas in our marriage and in our relationship where we did have insecurity, but we have overcome and gotten the victory over those areas through prayer, through communication, through counseling, and
get the counseling.
I'm thankful and I'm grateful that as a young couple, because we got married. I was 24, turning 24. You were already 26. So as a young married couple, you know, coming out of those things within by year 5, 6, maybe, it was a struggle. A lot of people struggle to make it to year 5 and year 6, but we were dedicated. My husband's super dedicated to us overcoming and breaking generational curses, so that, and coming to a point where we were secure with each other, with ourselves, in our own individual selves, and not just in our marriage, but secure as individuals as well. He was like gung ho, like, no, like, when I say this man is like a demon slayer, a generational curse slayer, like, God knew why he put me with Dana. That's all I'm gonna say.
She hyping me up, yeah. She hyping me up.
I'm not hyping him up. Like, I literally thank God, because people always say this, and it's always, just one of them quotes that people say, God know what you need, God know who you need, he gonna give you who you need. And I'm a firm believer. Like, firm believer. God knew what I needed. So I'm thankful to him for my husband being the man that he was and now is, because things have changed and he has grown. And I tell him all the time that I'm just in love with the man that he has grown to be. So
I have just been, since the beginning, and I communicated this, I am not perfect, but I am committed and dedicated to making our marriage successful and prosperous, right? And it working, and learning from our mistakes, and learning from what we saw in the past, from not just society, culture, but from our families as well, the good and the bad. So I just wanted to work. Not to say that we didn't make mistakes, but that's what I've done and tried to do, and I still try to do it. I still mess up, but growing to a place of security where you can share your insecurities and vulnerabilities is a really good place to be in your relationship, where I can say, and I've said, hey, I'm vulnerable right here. I'm weak. Need you to. I need you to help me, pray for me. Helps with the other person feeling secure in that relationship. We go like, hey man, I'm struggling. Okay, this is a whole struggle area for me, and I'm insecure about that. I'm sensitive right here, but I feel safe enough to say it,
right,
and I'm secure enough in myself, or in the fact that you love me and you are here for me, and care about our relationship, to say, this is what's going on.
Me. And I was gonna say that all kind of goes back to the conversation we had maybe 4 videos ago where we talked about having a brave space and about having a psychological safety net in your
Mm-hmm.
spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like safety and security both tie into having your spouse as your psychological safety net. Like I can't talk
Correct.
about the importance of your spouse as that because for me, coming home and being able to securely and safely dump all my problems into Dana's lap is just like a therapy session all in itself. Now, granted, I still have a therapist.
Mm.
And number one, I talk to Jesus all the time. I may not hit the Father God in the name of Jesus prayer every single time, but it's in those moments where it's like, okay, Jesus, you got to help me right here. But I said all that to say that being able to have a physical presence of a person to be your psychological safety net is vital to your well-being as an individual, and it's also vital to your well-being. Ooh, I'm making up words. Vital to your well-being in your marriage, so that you can feel safe and secure with your spouse.
Yeah, I mean, the marriage is. But I just thought about the other relationships besides marriage. There's a level of security that you want to have with them, have with your parents, have with your friends, because you have to feel secure in those relationships
Mm-hmm.
in order to really get the most out of them, and you be the most impactful for each other in your life. So, you got to identify those and really lean into those, especially for the hard places, the hard issues, because that's what it takes. And you need, like you said, you need a safe place to land and to land your emotions and to land the vulnerable parts of you, the sensitive parts of you, land on someone. I mean, of course, land them on God, and I do. And me growing in my relationship with God has helped me be better
Mm-hmm.
as a husband and to be a better landing spot and be better to be more vulnerable with my relationships, because the more I am with him, the more I open myself up and grow. The more he deals with me, the more I try to exemplify that in my home, my wife. The more I try to exemplify that in my relationships, and the more that I try to model that same dynamic of being that safe space, and because safe place and security, because I know that I have it. Like I'm secure in my relationship with him, and I'm secure in who I am. Like that's the part of we may not be able to dive all into tonight, is that the big part of any relationship is that you got to have that security in like who you are.
Exactly.
Like who am I? So I'm not losing myself in this relationship, and that I know what I bring to contribute to this, and this is us together. This relationship produces a new effect, right? Because it's two people in relationships producing something else.
Most definitely. I think this was a good spiel.
On security? Yeah, it's good spiel on security.
I always enjoy these conversations with you, and I hope that y'all enjoy our conversations with each other. So we're gonna wrap up our session on security, and just appreciate y'all for always joining us, always hanging out with us. We cannot say thank you enough, and we appreciate y'all for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to share it. Don't forget to comment and to like it. And we are going to wrap it up for security tonight. And see y'all next time. Again, as always, hashtag kicking it with the Smiths.